Have you ever looked up to someone so much that they became your ultimate role model? That's how I feel about my big brother. Oh, where are my manners? Let me introduce myself. I'm Lucy, a cheeky little pup with a love for life and a nose for adventure. But today, I'm not here to talk about me. I want to tell you about someone truly legendary, my brother, a retired K-9 officer who once served as the guardian of none other than Elon Musk himself. He's not just a dog, he's a symbol of bravery, loyalty, and justice. Whenever I hear his stories, my tail wags with pride, and I can't help but want to follow in his paw steps. And there's one story that stands out above all the rest, a night where he showed the world what it means to be a protector. It was a calm evening, the kind where the stars seemed to sparkle just a little brighter. My brother walked beside Elon, his sleek black coat glowing under the soft park lights. For most dogs, it might have been just a peaceful stroll. But not for him. His sharp eyes scanned every shadow, his ears tuned to the faintest sound, his every step ready for action. The world felt serene, almost magical. The distant hum of the city faded as the park offered a brief sanctuary from the chaos of daily life. Elon, his mind preoccupied with thoughts of rockets and electric cars, walked ahead with his usual measured pace. But I knew better. His focus, though sharp, was on everything but the looming danger. My brother, ever vigilant, remained an unwavering presence at his side. Though he had retired from active service as a K-9 unit, the years of training and instinct never truly left him. Every movement, every shift in the air, was a signal for him to remain alert. He had seen the darker side of humanity, and in those moments, he knew his purpose better than anyone else. I, on the other hand, could only watch from the sidelines. I was always in awe of him, the legendary protector, my brother who once served alongside the greatest heroes in the world. In the quiet of the evening, I could feel his readiness to act, even when the threat was still unseen. And then, the peace shattered. 3 men stepped out from the shadows, their movements deliberate, their intent clear. They thought they were just targeting a billionaire, unaware they were about to meet a legend. The calm of the park instantly shifted. I felt a surge of tension in the air, a change that only my brother could sense with such clarity. His muscles tensed, his posture stiffened, and without a word, he positioned himself between Elon and the new arrivals. It was a natural instinct, he had done it hundreds of times before, but now, as I watched, I realized just how dangerous the situation was. One of the men, taller and with an air of arrogance, sneered, sizing up Elon. His voice dripped with malice as he spoke. Well, look who we have here. The genius himself. What's the matter? Too busy to notice us? But my brother didn't flinch. His eyes, sharp and unblinking, never left the men. They were overconfident, mistaking the quiet for weakness. They didn't know who they were dealing with. He stepped forward, his massive frame an unmovable wall between Elon and the 3 men. His growl rumbled low from deep within his chest, sending a clear warning. He didn't need to say a word. They understood the message loud and clear. The man who had spoken took a step closer, his expression hardening. "What, you think we're scared of a dog?" he taunted. His voice was mocking, but there was a hint of uncertainty in his eyes. Even the bravest men, in the face of true danger, hesitate. But my brother? He was no ordinary dog. One of the men drew a knife, the blade catching the light. Big mistake. The streetlight flickered overhead, casting an eerie glow over the scene as the man brandished the weapon. The blade reflected the dim light, its edges sharp and glinting ominously. For a moment, time seemed to slow. I could feel my heart racing, and even Elon, ever the stoic genius, seemed to pause, sensing the shift in the air. But my brother wasn't waiting for anything. In a split second, his instincts kicked into overdrive. He lunged forward with lightning speed, closing the distance between him and the attacker in an instant. His jaws locked around the man's wrist, the force of his bite unrelenting. The man screamed, the knife falling uselessly to the ground, his fingers unable to hold onto the weapon. The other 2 attackers hesitated just for a moment. They were caught off guard, unable to process the swift, brutal efficiency of my brother's move. But hesitation was a dangerous thing in these moments. The second man, realizing the threat, swung a heavy metal rod at my brother. It was a wild, desperate attack, one born out of fear rather than strategy. But my brother was already moving. Like a shadow, he dodged the blow, his body a blur of strength and grace. The rod missed its mark by inches, and before the man could react, my brother was on him. In a single, precise motion, he disarmed the attacker, sending the rod clattering to the ground. The third man, realizing that their plan was quickly unraveling, pulled a rope from his jacket. His intentions were clear: to tie my brother up, to neutralize the threat. But he had underestimated my brother's speed. With a swift leap, my brother snatched the rope from the air, his powerful jaws locking around it. The attacker froze, his eyes widening in disbelief. My brother stood tall and immovable, a barrier between Elon and the attackers. It wasn't just about defending himself, it was about ensuring that no harm would come to the one he had sworn to protect. Just then, the night lit up with the red and blue flash of police lights. The officers stepped out of their car, their faces lighting up with recognition. The sirens blared through the night, breaking the tension like a hammer to glass. The criminals turned in confusion, their bravado fading as the patrol car came into view. As the officers stepped out, I saw a glimmer of recognition in their eyes. They had seen my brother before. They had heard the stories. They knew the legend. Is that? It is. It's him, the legendary K9, one of the officers exclaimed, his voice a mix of awe and relief. The criminals were no longer so confident. Their faces drained of color as they realized just how badly they had miscalculated. I watched as my brother stood tall, his posture unwavering. He wasn't just a dog, he was a hero. And in that moment, I could see the respect in the officers' eyes. They knew what he had done, knew that his actions had turned the tide of the situation. The criminals, now subdued and helpless, could only stammer in disbelief. A police dog. How were we supposed to know? One of them muttered, his voice shaking. You picked the wrong target, the officer said with a smirk, cuffing the men one by one. The leader of the group glared at my brother, his face twisted in frustration. But then, the most dangerous moment of all came, just as the officers moved to load the criminals into their car. One of them, a hulking figure with a scowl plastered on his face, took a final, desperate step toward Elon. He muttered something under his breath, his hands twitching as if reaching for something hidden beneath his jacket. His eyes locked onto Elon, but it wasn't just malice in them. There was something darker, something more dangerous. Before anyone could react, the man lunged. His hand shot out toward Elon, but my brother was faster. With a burst of speed, my brother intercepted the attack, knocking the man to the ground with a force that left no room for doubt. The danger had been eliminated. The officer who had been closest to the scene drew his gun, but my brother had already handled it. The criminal lay there, stunned and disarmed, his plan ruined by the swift intervention of my brother. You won't get away with this, the man spat, but the words felt hollow. The confidence had drained from him, replaced with fear. Elon, ever composed, stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. That day won't come, he said, his words carrying an authority that matched my brother's own presence. I could feel the tension dissipating as the criminals were led away, their heads hung low in defeat. And in that moment, the quiet of the park returned, the danger gone like a passing storm. By the next day, our story had spread. Social media buzzed with the news, the headlines proclaiming, Elon Musk's legendary K9 hero saves the day. The media couldn't get enough of the story. But for me, it wasn't about the fame or the recognition, it was about my brother, the protector, the legend, the friend. A little girl from the neighborhood had drawn a picture of him under a starry sky, with the words protector of justice written beneath it. The drawing now hung in Elon's office, a reminder of that unforgettable night and the bond that we shared. He may be retired, but my brother's heart would always beat for justice. As the officers cuffed them, Elon knelt beside my brother, resting a hand gently on his head. You've done well, my friend, he said softly. Those simple words carried a weight of respect and gratitude. By the next morning, the story was everywhere. Social media exploded with praise for the brave dog who saved Elon Musk. But for my brother, it wasn't about the fame. It was about doing what he was born to do: protect, serve, and embody the very essence of loyalty. A little girl from the neighborhood even drew a picture of him under a starry sky with the words "Protector of Justice." Elon proudly hung it in his office, a reminder of that unforgettable night. My brother might be retired, but his spirit will always burn bright with the fire of justice. He's not just my hero, he's a hero to everyone who's ever heard his story. And I, Lucy, will always strive to be worthy of following in his noble footsteps.